Let me see. I'll put a quick introductory slide together as we go over our introduction and stuff. So 1 second. Gotta get a good one. Here we go. Let's see. Copy that. Keep. Today is 26. Greetings, Mama Mina. Okay, Sister Tania, did you want to start us out, open us up with our normal opening?
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear normally I heard from the conference call. I was waiting to hear the next one.
We are recording.
Oh, you are? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't know we was recording. Okay. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Julius Nyeri, CBPM, UNIA-ACL, Division 421 mass meeting. Today is February 26, 2023. It is 5:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, our topic is the leaderships, Black leadership. Before we get into our topic, we're going to start with the pledge to the red, black, and green. Lately, we've been trying to do the pledge together. I think that that even though we're doing it together, the leader, which would be me, I'm leading the pledge, try to listen like to my rhythm and make sure you stay on the rhythm that I'm on. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I just okay. All right. Repeat after me. I commit my body, mind, and spirit. I'm sorry.
My body, mind, and spirit.
I'm sorry. I'm used to saying repeat after me. We're gonna say it together. I'm gonna start with the first line and then jump in. I'm sorry. Okay. I commit my body, mind, and spirit.
I commit my body, mind, and spirit.
Oh, no. Dr. Shams, we're going to jump in on the second line. We're going to say it with Sister Tania.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I commit my body, mind, and spirit to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green. I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered Black children. I accept for myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism and promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people, in order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail until all Black people are free and united through one God, one aim, and one destiny. First. Okay. And then also, I didn't remember to say it, but President John has the pledge. He had the pledge on Zoom. So if you didn't know it, is there for you to look at. And then if you on the conference line, I'm not for sure if anybody is there, but all of the past agendas have the pledge in it. So all you have to do is just go look in your emails and find it, and then you'll be able to just read along with us. This time it sounded a lot better than the first time. So we're gonna get there. Our guidelines for the call today is sort of kind of like an open topic. Just be sure that if you're the only one talking, that you kind of like stop for a little bit to make sure that everyone else get a chance to speak. And also remember to keep it respectful. I know we all have our own thoughts, and we passionate about our beliefs and what we believe in, but it's okay that somebody else has a different thought. That's how we grow. If we all thought the same, we wouldn't grow. So, the different ideas and looking at things from a different perspective that's different from yours is not always bad. And, you can grow from it, even if you don't agree with it at the moment. Because I know it's been times where I've totally disagreed with the way somebody thought. And then maybe I think one time it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, I saw what they were talking about. Like something came up and I was like, oh, so this is what they was talking about. And you never know, what your words may have an effect on a person later on down the road, even if they don't think the same. So just try to be respectful and make sure we're not treating each other like people off the street, because we're a family and we're gonna have to talk to each other next week. So you have to keep that in mind. And then keep your where was I at? Oh yeah. Ladies, don't give out your personal numbers. And refrain from cussing and using the N-word. All right, I'm passing.
So thank you, Sister Tania. You went over the ground rules. So as Sister Tania said, tonight's discussion, somewhat of an open discussion. The goal for these meetings is to be able to provide the next generation with a black print or blueprint or some type of template to know what we consider legitimate and what we don't. And as I said earlier, there'll be 3 particular categories that I'm looking for answers for personally. And one is media. What is the media source or sources for our community, for Black people, for Garveyites, nation builders, leaders. Who do we consider leaders in our community? Some may be past leaders that are no longer alive, but who would we recommend the youth to emulate from a leadership standpoint? And then third will be organizations. We'll talk about organizations later, but I think it'll be a natural follow-up to leaders. Once you identify the leaders, the organization should coincide with the leaders. So just to recap, and this is, give me a second. So just a recap and confirmation. We had talked about media back in January. And when it came down to media, let's see, Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, so. When we asked the question of what media do we look to? Where do we look to get our updates on what's going on what is important? The truth for our people. Where do we go to find media? The answers that we gave was local radio, social media came up, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google articles, YouTube again, Black News, Flipboard, Africa News, France 24, USA Today, World Star Hip Hop. I mentioned in details on YouTube. YouTube is broad. It's like saying newspaper, but we need specific sites or pages on YouTube. Some that I gave were Dr. Ma'at, Sonetter, Dr. Umar, Tariq Nasheed, Taharka Bey, Boyce Watkins, Riza Islam. Those are some names that I'm familiar with. Facebook, Instagram, again, let's repeat. Let me just make this the names instead of that. Posters on buildings or flyers from our parents and grandparents, libraries and books. Blacksby came up. Zoom is not a media source. Conference calls. I guess that would depend on which group or organization you're with, but I guess so. And then newsletters. We said that these were, when we talked about it, we opened the floor. These were the responses given to Black media that we consume today. Is there anything that we as that this group would like to add to this list at this time? Anything that we missed on? Are there any sources of media that we consume that are not on this list?
Yeah, there's a site called Hayti. It's spelled Hayti, and it gives global news.
Okay.
So you might want to check that out.
Okay. And that's a Black source, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's a Haitian African news outlet.
Okay. Yes, I thought it was Haitian, the way it spells Haiti almost, Hayti. All right.
Well, Hayti is it's a city that was named after Haiti, but instead of calling it Haiti, they call it Hayti. And it was in the United States, so it was one of the cities. I think it was taken over. It was majority Black, and then it became majority white. I forget what state it's in.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
First.
Yes. Dr. Shams, were you gonna say something?
Yes, race first. The only other thing that I might want to add of social media, and I didn't see it on the list surprisingly, is Twitter.
Well, let me see. I thought Twitter. I think, do we?
He has social media up there.
Well, yeah. Let me see. I guess I'll put that in there.
Oh, I see underneath the apps. You didn't put it underneath where the app's at.
Yeah, but this was separate because I guess it'll go on both sides. The difference between this side was how our youth consume media. And initially when we had talked about this was trying to identify the disconnects between how some of our elders consume media and how the youth consume media. And if we are trying to promote and propagate, and if we're promoting and propagating on sources that the youth don't use, then we will have trouble connecting with the youth. But it was partially to show a bit of the disconnect for us to bridge the gap, basically. But from the youth aspect, we said that youth, and we didn't have any youth speak for themselves, but we looked it up. youth get a lot of their media from entertainment and sports. So ESPN, Sports Center, things like that. Television, I don't know why we say that. The streets, so people on the streets, peers, social media, we touched on that. But their social media is a little bit different. They use Snapchat and TikTok, which are some social medias that the elders don't really use, which we'll have to adjust. But social media, educational system and their peers, I guess that's streets, magazine, podcast is a big one. And we should probably have that on out. I mean, we kind of have that too. And WhatsApp. But we agreed at the time that these seemed like a good group of sources for youth to acquire media. Not necessarily what we recommend, but what's actually happening in reality. Before we go to leadership, is there anything that we have missed on the media aspect from the elder standpoint or youth standpoint? Okay. Okay, so that brings us to Black leaders. February 2023. So I'll just open the floor. If y'all want to just start listing out some names of Black leaders or leaders in the Black community.
Raise first.
Raise first, Dr. Shams.
Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam.
Excellent. Excellent.
I should say the Honorable. That's how they say it. They say the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yeah.
Yes. We're going to, I understand and I don't disagree. Is this the only leader we have in the Black community right now?
Now, Chairman Omali Yeshiteli.
That's the guy from Uhuru?
Yeah.
Raise first.
Raise first.
What about the Nuwapians?
What about the Nuwapians?
Well, they put out news at times too. Yeah, and that Black organization as well with some kind of following. I think they have their numbers bigger than ours, almost like the Nation of Islam at one time, or maybe still, I don't even know. But they are one of our Black organizations trying to take the lead as far as helping our people.
Yes, sir. I don't disagree. But again, this is specifically for leaders. So are we saying Dr. York should be on the list?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Malachi K. York. Okay, yeah, right. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. Not saying that, these are leaders that we worship or look up to or anything like that, but they are somewhat of representatives. And for Atlanta, our mayor is African-American man. But he has a former leadership. What's her name? Lori Lightfoot.
Okay, so
Miriam
I guess I'm
Bowser, DC.
Hold on, Brother Art.
I'm kind of like, I ain't gonna say confused by the question, but I just think like in every organization, I mean, there's a Black leader, Nowadays, the way things work, if you get your YouTube channel and you got enough followers, you considered a leader. So, like, are we saying like people that are, I mean, like what are we saying? Because
People
right
that
now,
we acknowledge hold some form of leadership in our community.
okay. I would put Roz Marvin on there. And then we got our own people in the UNIA too, but I don't know. It's just kind of hard for me to just, that list to be long if I start adding people that I know. It's like, to me, it's just almost anybody can, I ain't gonna say anybody can, but a lot of people doing work that isn't getting that acknowledgement that I know that's been doing work a long time, that has like the following and stuff. They don't really get the type of recognition.
Well, okay, it's a two-step
Yeah.
thing. It's a two-step thing that I'm trying to get to. One,
Okay.
I want to list a long list. Anyone that has a level of leadership, legitimate level of leadership, we put them on there. At the second stage,
I'm gonna put Baba Amin on there. That's from the RBG. He used to do the Lone Star RBG. But now he does Uhuru Academy and stuff. He does like black schools.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's in Texas.
Yes, but he's not in Texas anymore. I can't remember where he's at now, but he used to be over one of the big influential people in RBG when the movement was really, really big, like some years ago.
Mhm.
And then he started, he has a school, Uhuru Academy. That's what he kind of built his stuff off of, is his independent black school, kind of like Mama Amina has her school. I think she should go on the list too.
Mama
She's,
Amina.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
She leading up, she has the black school. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, like, it's hard for me to know like how to do the list. Cause I feel like, you have the children, you know what I'm saying, the teachers, and she's up there, she's setting examples. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm understanding the question, because my list would be long.
okay, well, I guess
I'll put you on the list.
well,
I don't.
it's not supposed to be straightforward, but let me try to articulate this as best as we can. Well, and it'll make sense, I guess, when we read the lesson on leadership. But a leader would be an individual that's taken you in a particular direction for a certain goal. Would we agree or disagree?
Are we talking about political leadership?
We're talking about leadership in the Black community. So basically, where I'm trying to go is
it political leadership? That's my question for you.
Andre Dickens would be considered a political leader. But my question, the thing I'm trying to get people to understand is, where are our leaders taking us? If these individuals are leaders, where are they taking our people? And what is the goal that we're looking for as a people? So
Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
Yes, we didn't mention Dr. Reverend Al Sharpton.
Okay. Well, Reverend. Okay.
Yeah, and I think what we're talking about is like head of organizations, head of indigenous governments and things like that. not so much the members, the active membership we have, but those that can represent all of us as a body, as one body, an organization or government.
Well, good point. Good point, Dr. Shams, and I'm with you. But I want to make sure, again, we're all on the same page. So let's just break it down. Instead of going into leaders, what are the different types of leaders? We heard political.
Religious,
Mm.
Educational.
Anything missing?
Spiritual.
I would say that's religious. Okay. All right. I think I'm making this too.
Race first. Race first.
Dr. Shams.
All right. Societal.
Society. Okay. Societal leaders. Maybe this will. Where would we put Minister Farrakhan? What type of leader would we say he is?
Societal.
You think he's societal?
I think he's
Yeah.
supposed to be religious.
He fits a couple of, well, actually, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he could cover the whole list, really. With the way he's outstanding. He could take that whole list and apply it to himself, no problem.
Okay, and that's kind of where I'm going. And it's a couple of people I want to touch on. So Dr. Malachi Z. York, what about him?
He tried to come out the same way as Minister Farrakhan. At one time, he wanted to take a group picture, him, Minister Farrakhan, Reverend Al Sharpton, who else we had at that time? I don't know. Wow. Somebody from the Black Panther, Africa Bambaataa, maybe, I don't know.
But are you saying Dr. York would be all types as well?
Yes, he writes all types of books. Yes, he could prove his standing. Yes.
One more, Ross Marvin. What type of leader would we say? What category would we put him in?
Community, political. I'll say community. Oh, you didn't put community. Oh yeah, you did. Social.
Society and community. Okay, so this is kind of where I was hoping that we would not end up. And I didn't want to just make it obvious, but are the leaders from a nation standpoint, do we have any nation building leaders?
Race first.
Race first.
The leader of the Buy Black movement, they doing pretty good right now. You know, I don't know how large they following is, but they kicked it off to a tremendous start at what they're doing. And that's Brother Debriano of the Buy Black movement.
Delzino, right?
Right.
But what type of leadership would you put him under? Or would you say he's one of all or what?
I would say he's one of all because he speaks in reference to all, and he uses films and books and other DVDs and everything, all kinds of media, you know, to prove his point. He even has exercises that people do as a collective community, if you want to call it that. You know, when they come to his meeting, his gatherings, he has actually really interacting with each other, standing up, hugging each other, shaking hands and all, explaining things with each other. He could fit the whole list, really.
Okay.
He is another one.
Okay, but again, all right, we started to break it down into tiers. And I think towards the top from as we talk about nationhood, leaders from a nationhood standpoint, I think we could all say Minister Farrakhan is one of the top Black leaders in our community from a nationhood standpoint. Will we agree or disagree?
I agree. I agree. He got the biggest following out of us all.
Would anyone disagree? Okay. So we said Farrakhan, we put Dr. York in there as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and he has a website to prove the point too.
I
It's
understand. I understand,
Okay.
Dr. Shams. I'm just trying to get to a point. Give me 1 second.
The point needs to be his followers. How many followers does he have? Who's he leading?
The head of the Nawapian organization, we would have some problems maybe with some of the organizations if his name was not on the list. We would have some serious, because he started back in 1970.
Dr.
Still
Shams, 1
working up
second.
till today.
Dr. Shams, 1 second. All I'm saying is Minister Farrakhan, Dr. York, I believe we said Ross Marvin is in there with those individuals. Is that too much for President Ross Marvin, or is that adequate?
Race first, Brother John, race first.
Yes, sir, Dr. Shams.
I would like to respectfully and with all honors and every gratitude that anybody could bring, I would not classify Brother Ross Marvin as actually being the category of leadership that we're looking for if it's national leadership we're talking about, because his following is only as big as our President General Duncan.
Okay, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what I was just getting ready to say. What about Michael Duncan? Can we put Michael Duncan on the same category as Minister Farrakhan and Dr. York?
Okay, that's what I was asking before. I didn't know like where we was going with, like, as far as leaders, because it was just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have like a direction. You know what I'm saying?
I understand, and I feel like
because anybody could be considered a leader.
I hear you, Tania, and that's exactly why we're having this discussion, because it's too easy for people to be considered leaders in the Black community. So I would like for us as a division to kind of put some constraints on what we as a division consider legitimate leadership. And where I'm trying to steer this discussion is, we are Garveyites, and Garvey is about nationalism, so Andre Dickens, Lori Lightfoot, I put them on there, but again, they would be more so political leaders. Some of our, people in schools or professors and things like that, educational, people in business, that are doing well for themselves in business, economic leaders. But I don't think these individuals should hold the title of a national leader. And that's what I'm trying to distinguish at this time. So again, going back to Dr. Shams, we've got Minister Farrakhan, we've got Dr. York. Would we agree that Dr. Michael Duncan would be in this category as well as of national leaders?
Race first.
Race first.
Yes, I would vote him in, because we have so many divisions across the so-called US of A, it's ridiculous. And then all for what I understand is under his control. The divisions we have of our own government and organization is up, Michael R. Duncan is our President General. Yes. He leads everything. He leads all the divisions.
Okay, and that's what I'm. Okay, and then we're getting to it. Now we're getting to classes of leadership. So now that we've identified somewhat of national leaders, let me start over. Would we say Reverend Sharpton is a national leader? Is a not, and I don't mean national recognition, but aspirations.
Race first. Let me help you with that. he has not only on television for the past 10 years or more, a political television called Impact Television or something like that. With 5 o'clock, like now, he will be on speaking on Impact TV. He also has a radio show. He has a radio show on Sundays, Saturdays and Sundays, from 9 to about 11. And then any type of civil rights problems or any type of tragedies that pop up, you always see him there. And he gives people a chance to voice their opinion, their concerns too. He's getting ready to have his convention, I think April 15th to the 19th or something like that. But he has that every year with political leaders going to his convention and speaking up to us. Yes.
So you would say he's on the level of Minister Farrakhan and the others that we mentioned?
Yes, he is. Reverend Al Sharpton, I would not want to downplay him. No, he belongs there. He's one of our leaders. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I'm thinking of a question. I should have. Well, the reason why I'm having trouble with Sharpton is, again, I'm thinking from a national perspective. What national ideal has Sharpton promoted outside of
the ideal of justice for us? Race first with that. The ideal of justice and equality for us, opportunity and what have you. He covered all those areas. Every holiday he serves us dinner at his National Action Network in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. He has dinner every year for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever you want to call it. He feeds the people as well as helps our people get justice, honor, and equality, the things that we deserve, and he tries to make sure that the politicians know what we need as well as a people.
But how is that different from a civil rights leader?
That's not different from a civil rights leader. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because the type of leaders, civil rights should go on the list too. Civil rights, you're right. But he is a civil rights leader, yes.
Yes, but isn't there a difference, like we learned with Malcolm X? Is there a difference between civil rights and human rights?
I think so, but there's very, very thin line, because civil rights can be of jurisdiction. Human rights is international.
Yes, and that's exactly where I'm going. I'm looking for leaders that are promoting international recognition and justice. From what you were just saying, I think Malcolm X and Martin Luther King would be two great examples of a distinguishment in my interpretation of leadership. Some are civil rights. Martin Luther King was a civil rights leader. He was working to make sure that the United States government did not overly mistreat the Black people that were here. However, Martin Luther King, on the other hand, was a human rights advocate. And he felt that, the United States.
King was civil rights, wasn't he?
Who?
Martin Luther King. He's not civil rights?
No, he's more human rights than civil rights.
He was fighting the civil rights movement. You talk about civil rights movement, they throw King right up in your face.
Yes, that time period has been known as the civil rights movement. However, Malcolm wasn't necessarily, he was fighting for human rights. And that's the thing, like civil rights is,
the rights on the books of America.
Yes, but human rights are universal laws,
Race.
No one can, it's hard to tell someone, you know, well, let me make sure I'm saying this right. Human rights oversee civil rights. If you don't have human rights, how can you have civil rights? Basically, if society doesn't treat you as a human, how can they treat you civilly? That was Malcolm's argument.
Yes, I agree with that too. I think he should go down there. I think he should. That'd be an honor for the Nation of Islam to have his name there. Brother Al-Haj Malik Shabazz, yes. Malcolm X on the other hand, yes. But civil rights is jurisdictional. Human rights is international.
Exactly. I know, and that's why when I said national leaders, I should have probably said international leaders, not just leaders that are looking for us to get civil treatment in the United States, but leaders that are seeking for us to get global recognition as a people. And when it comes to that, that's when it limits for me. Farrakhan, I know. York, I know. Michael R. Duncan, I know. Those are the individuals that I know right off the bat that are seeking international representation of our people. Is there anyone else in that category?
Raise first.
Raise first.
Reverend Al Sharpton, because he gets on planes and travels overseas to countries like England. I don't know if he's ever been to different parts of Africa, but I know he has branches. He has a station all across this so-called U.S., and he goes to other countries. He lets you know when he's flying out somewhere to like England or, you know, for something or whatever. But he is connected with not only political but international ties as well. Be very careful about Reverend Al Sharpton. They did a movie on him, and it's coming out for everybody to see soon. You know, about the great works that Reverend Sharpton has done. You know, they have a movie on him. Yeah, a documentary.
Understand. Where I was going
Chairman,
what were you saying, Brother Art?
Chairman Yesha Shelley has been in the fight since the 50s. He was one of the Panthers in the early 50s. He has been all over the world fighting for us. So, in his organization, he has like, I think it's 4 or 5 different organizations who've built schools, they've built businesses. So I would say you could put him on there.
Do these individuals promote self-governance? That's basically where I'm going with the question. I would argue Farrakhan and Nation of Islam promotes self-governance. Dr. York promotes self-governance. Of course, Michael R. Duncan promotes self-governance. What other Black leaders promotes self-reliance at its highest form, which we know as self-governance?
Yes. Yeah, he does.
Chairman Yeshatali does?
Yes.
And you said he's been doing this since?
Since he was a right-hand man of Huey Newton. So he's been in the fight since then.
And what's his name? That's the 60s. What's his name?
Chairman Yeshatali?
O'Malley.
African People's Socialist Party.
O'Malley. Yeah.
And this is a national organization, not a political organization.
That's political. Socialist, that's political.
Several different, like he has the Uhuru movement, the Black is Back movement, the Black is Back coalition, and then he has a a foundation that he started businesses and all kinds of stuff. I have listened to him a couple times. I heard him give a speech to, I forget where it was. I think it was in Libya, where he was speaking to their Congress about trying to get help and support from them. And he sounds like he's pretty dedicated to me.
I'm not questioning anyone's dedication. I'm just questioning their end goals, and what we consider. And I know there's different aspects of leadership, but from a self-reliance and self-governance standpoint.
Yeah, but I think he's in full support of that. Of course, I've never met him. I don't know him, so I've only listened to him, and that's just my opinion,
I understand. And I know Wikipedia is not the best source for legitimate information, but it says the Uhuru movement, American-based socialist and African international movement founded in 1972 and led by, but the Uhuru movement is led by the African People's Socialist Party. This makes it a little bit difficult to find out the parent company, but this makes it seem like African People's Socialist Party is the parent of the Uhuru movement. Why don't I go to their stuff? African People, so APSP, African People's Socialist Party, Uhuru. Okay.
I thought it was the other way around, but.
So yeah, interesting images as well, beautiful flags, obviously. But I'm just okay, white solidarity. I mean, we do need, I'm not gonna get on that. They have a place as well. Uhuru movement is worldwide organization under leadership of African People's Socialist Party. So yeah, this is saying African People's Socialist Party is the head, uniting African people as one people for liberation, social justice, reliance, economic development, self-reliance, economic development. If you want a free world from oppression, there's a place for you in this movement. African People's Socialist Party.
So this is a political party, is it not?
In my opinion, that's what it looks like to me. That's what this looks like. It's a political party.
That's what it looks like to me too.
But I would not say that this is a national organization, or nationhood organization.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that, do we know what is the symbol that represents a nation? Students of course of African philosophy.
Is it the flag?
It's the flag. So, if you are a nation, you would have your own flag. So in my opinion, all due respect to what the organization is doing, but they are using the image of the red, black, and green and the concept of Pan-African flag to promote their ideologies. But I don't think that they are working to establish a nation of their own. And if I'm wrong about that, someone please correct me. But I would say this is more so political leadership than national leadership.
Okay, educate me, brother. Thank you.
No problem. So again, national leadership, from what self-reliance and self-governance, the highest form of self-reliance we're taught is self-governance. So that's what I'm asking is, who are the leaders that are promoting us as a people to govern ourselves. And these political, well, I'm not political in general, but obviously mayors of certain cities are not promoting for us to do for ourselves. As we talked about in our last meeting, when we talked about Tyree Nichols, I think we came to the agreement that you can't change the system from within. The system is designed to do what it does, and you will play your part in that system, but you're not coming in to change it. So I'm gonna take them off.
I think another leader is Dr. Umar Johnson.
Okay. I'll put him on. He's a controversial figure in our community today, but I respect Dr. Umar. Okay. All right. I don't want to take too much time on this. Just generally, now let's flip it, and we're talking to the youth, and the youth are asking, what leaders they should study or follow or things like that. Who would we add to this list? If a young person said, hey, I want to learn about, leaders of our race, who would we tell them to study?
Race first.
Race first.
Yes, even although I'm into Islam and Islamism, and I don't advocate any other kind of form of belief, but to give respect where it belongs. I would be amiss if we didn't put the Honorable Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. on the list.
Okay. One I'll put. So I got a couple actually. I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna wait because I don't want to take from y'all. What books are we studying? What leaders are we studying? What leaders have we studied? What leaders do we have on our list to study? What books have we purchased?
Amos Wilson.
Who's that?
I said Amos Wilson.
There you go. I like that.
Marcus, you put Marcus Garvey on there, right?
No, I didn't. No, we didn't even get to it. Because we were kind of in modern day.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna throw my two in there.
We
wouldn't have Marcus without Booker. And internationally, I'm gonna throw in Mandela, Nelson Mandela.
I'm trying to think of that man. That is it Sheikh Diop?
It's a Diop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, from a science perspective. Shoot. It's getting.
You gotta put in Dr.
If
Clark.
you put Booker T down there, you could put what's the brother?
Du Bois.
Yeah, Du Bois.
Yeah. This thing gets small quick.
I mean, there's some historical figures,
Yes, but that's what it's about. Okay. And I want to contrast this with who do we think the youth looks up to from a leadership perspective? I'm pretty sure the youth on a mass scale, the youth ain't reading Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. I don't think they know these names.
I think Dr. Greg Carr.
Ooh, that's a good one. He should be. Yeah, that's a good one. Does everybody know Dr. Carr? Come on, what happened?
Nope.
He is
Leading.
professor at Howard University. He's a African studies professor, but he does a lot of I think he's a good name. But he's in academia, so students should know him. What about what's his name? I'm gonna throw this in there, even though it may not be that great. Cornel West, though, because I feel like he's in a similar category.
So what's qualifying them as leaders? I mean, you can have opinions about and be active politically and socially, but who are you leading? I could see Farrakhan for sure has got a whole group of people he's leading.
Yes.
But who is? I mean, you might agree with the politics of some of these brothers, but do they have a group of people that they're actually leading?
Well, Mama Mina, well, we may have to touch on that in organization, because leaders can just have influence, but they don't necessarily have to have a membership, to be a leader.
Hmm.
And that's kind of where I was going with the youth, because let me put it in my perspective. When I was a youth, the leaders for me were, Nas and Jay-Z, but people who had influence, and I feel like, sports figures take that role as well. But entertainers was a big ideal for leadership for me when I was young. And let me see. Put LeBron. Some people really do consider him a leader.
Who?
LeBron James.
Oh. Yeah.
Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
If we're going to go for more common names of those who may not be actually leading up to the full definition of what we're talking about, I would want to state in there Dr. Leonard Jeffries, who worked and knew, were colleagues with Dr. Ben as well as Dr. Clark. I went to the City College in New York, and it was Dr. Leonard Jeffries that gave me one of my Black history classes, and then there's also Professor James Smalls, because he taught the class on Malcolm X.
So we got a bunch of brothers out here who are teachers who, but who's leading?
Well, no,
We got Kareem, we got Kwanzaa, and Kareem put that. Nobody put his name up there.
That's true.
You
Yeah. Hold on. Let me adjust the list. But yeah, Mama Mina, you have a valid point, but that's kind of where I'm trying to get to, is the fact that this concept of leadership is subjective. I don't know how to spell Maulana.
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 Karanga. But
But again, I want us to be able to acknowledge.
Look at it in Newark. Imam Baraka's son is now the mayor of that city. But outside of Newark,
Right.
conscious people would probably know him, but the average Joe Blow wouldn't.
Right. But that's there's different levels of leadership: financial, educational, political. But what we as Garveyites should be able to identify and create is national leaders. Leaders that are
leadership,
pulling our people together for a form of self-identification and self-governance. That is what that is my idea of a leader. A leader is not somebody, that just because you have a lot of money, you're a leader, or just because you have, even to Mama Mina, to your point, there are some of these social media leaders that have the following, they have millions of people following them, but I still wouldn't consider them a leader because they're not promoting any form of self-reliance and self-governance. So that's really what I wanted to kind of narrow down was, or at least to get us to think about what do we consider leaders, and are we taking that term seriously as a people, or are we just going around tossing it around loosely to where anybody can hold that title?
Raise first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
Yes. I like to say, that when it comes to like followers and leaders, everybody, the whole wide world wants to be a leader. Very few followers. That's why in Islam we had no big eyes and little U's. But I tell you something about this list. If we can think it up, then that must be it, because they're on there for a particular reason. They fit the criteria some way, somehow. And it's a good cause they're fighting too, to help our people. Peace and race first.
Yes, but I'll just touch on the last thing. Is that a good situation to have hundreds of leaders?
Raise first.
Race first.
There are millions upon billions of people throughout the planet Earth. That little list right there is not even the tip of the iceberg, because if you go over in Africa, where you might find a whole lot more. If you go down South America, you might find some more. If you go to like Asia, Southeast Asia or Northeast Asia, you'll find more, So
Yes.
This list here is just the tip of the iceberg, but it relates to what they're doing for our people. And like I said, the categories we have here, they have more than enough reason to be on the list, but it's a very small list. Believe me. Raise first.
Understand. Okay, two things. One was your first comment about leadership. I think the times have changed to where you're saying everyone wants to be a leader. It's a little bit weird right now, because when you think about social media right now is actually promoting people to be followers. When you look at, ask any young person, how many influencers they are following, how many pages are they following, and then ask them, how many people are following you. And for those that are following you, what message are you promoting to those that are following you? Is it a message of entertainment? Is it a message of education? Is it a message of economy? Is it political? Why are people following you, and why are you following other people? But today we live in an age of followers more so than leaders. And then in the aspect of millions of leaders, and I understand there are several that we could put plenty more on the list. But I'm asking, is it a good thing to have, thousands or millions of leaders versus a small number of leaders?
Raise first.
Race first.
I think to start off with this quite modest and humble list that we have here, quite a few of our different brothers. We didn't mention any sisters though, did we?
Ooh.
We didn't mention any sisters. Ain't that
I
nothing?
think Mama Mina was the only one, the sister that we put on.
Oh, yeah, you did put her.
But yes,
Okay.
you're right. We didn't.
And look, what's that
I was
sister's
gonna
name who got all these people to vote down here in Georgia? She for sure let those people, sister, what's her name?
Stacey Abrams.
Stacey Abrams.
With that, I mean, I mean, put another line. We might as well, is Kamala Harris in the Black community still?
Well,
I was gonna say that I see where you coming from, President John. Like, is it good for us to have so many leaders?
Yes.
And I also think, like, even if we had a few leaders, when we look at the stress that Roz Marvin was under, trying to be everything, I don't think that we should just. I don't think that. I think that's a lot asking for one leader to just, you know what I'm saying? Like, we would have to have a leader of everything. You know, it's just too much to do. But I think, like, maybe we should look at the standards that we hold people by more than if we need multiple leaders, because we do. I think it would be just too much to put on one person, unless we saying, like, okay, we voting them in to be the president. You know, we you know, they're getting compensated, and you know, we're paying them to represent us. Then I can see that. But just people volunteering and giving their life and stuff, that is a lot.
I'm with you, Sister Tina. I understand what you're saying. Let me see. But the thing I'm saying is, okay, let's just break it down to, well, we all Garveyites. What does Garvey say is the greatest weapon used against our people?
Disorganization.
Disorganization. When we have 100 leaders in 100 different organizations, are we organized? If we all working on the same thing, but
right now, no. But can we make organization out of it? We could.
That's why you
we're
keep somebody
not
like
now.
Farrakhan, he has a large organization, but in every different division of his organization, he may have somebody over those positions.
And that's what I'm saying, Mama Mina. Like, and a good example, look at Garvey in the 20s. You know, was Garvey the only leader at that time? And let's just say in the UNIA specifically, was Marcus Garvey the only leader at that time?
No.
Okay, and that's the same thing that I'm saying right now. I believe we are currently, this is just my opinion, but our race is currently victims of somewhat of an ego issue, to where we all feel like we have to be the leader instead of supporting leadership, you know? So that's kind of where I was going with this. We didn't touch on a lot of the modern day leaders, but everybody's kind of doing their own thing, as opposed to us working together under one body. You know, I don't even care who that one body, or even it could be a council, but we have yet to come together to form, you know, this council to say that, you know, this leadership will establish the direction, will you know, chart our path, instead of each organization doing it on their own. That's kind of where I was going.
Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
Looking at a body of those who don't actually represent us in any kind of way, and we may detest them too. But the Europeans in the White House, we have enough there to just about match what they're doing. And what they're doing with the way they vote and make decisions and stuff, that's good for this entire list, as well as us.
Wait, break that down. You said the Caucasians?
I'm talking about the White House, the USA government, made up of Congress, senators, and the rest of it, legislators and all. House of Republicans, House of Democrats, you know, and they all have a vote. The people vote them in, right, but there's so many of them representing everything, anything you want to do, to that's it, you know. But hey, don't go for everybody, because some people call that forced denationalization. You have to be careful of that and not group everybody into that. because not everybody believe in the same nation.
Yes, and that's where I'm going is collective leadership. That was a great point you brought in, Dr. Shams. You know, when you think about the United States government, you know, as we listed, Mayor Dickens, Mayor Lightfoot, these individuals are still a part of the United States government, and although they may be leaders in their realm, they still buy into the overall leadership of the United States. You know, so when we look at the House of Representatives, I don't know how many people there are in there. It's 200 something people in there, but each of those individuals could be considered a leader in their own right, but they still come together to form the House of Representatives. The Senate, you know, 100 individuals, they have more power than the House of Representatives. They could be seen as even higher leaders than the House of Representatives, but they still come together in what is known as the Senate to form that organized body of leadership. And all of these forms of leadership submit to the triad of United States leadership of legislative, executive, and legislative, executive, and congressional. No, legislative, executive, and judicial. So these three departments are technically the three-headed leadership of the United States. You know, so that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, and that's what we as a nation, as a people, have to start to, at some point, we have to develop. You know, so we can all be leaders in our own right, but when are we going to come together as leaders of the people? That's the question.
Race
Well,
first.
I remember. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, sister. I don't want to cut you off.
No, you go ahead. You had the floor first.
Oh, okay. No, actually, wow, it done slipped my mind what I wanted to say. So go ahead, sister. It might come back. I'm sorry.
Oh, I remember in the Black Power days, you had different organizations across the country, and they would have, I don't know, once every year or whatever it was a total Black Power conference. But you had people who, cultural nationalists, political nationalists, religious nationalists, people of all these different categories, everybody wanted to be Black, and for African Americans having Black power, but their methods to that madness was all
Yes.
different.
Yes.
You know,
And
the
I
methods
agree.
to the math was different.
And
so
agree.
we've got different names in all those different categories who might have been, you know, somebody is great in the arts. Somebody else is over here great in the karate or something like that, or in history. Different talents and different avenues, but they were all for uplifting the Black people.
Yes, ma'am. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Let me share something. Well, yeah, let me share something, and we'll go back. So, this kind of all just happened organically, but we were supposed to have a gathering on yesterday, actually, February 25th, 2023. But we weren't able to finalize the planning. Actually, hold on. I got a better. This is not the right flyer, but it should be good enough to communicate. February 25th. Yeah, here's the right one. But as I said, the greatest weapon used against our people, according to our teacher Marcus Garvey, is disorganization. You know, so if we have a lot of leaders doing good work, doing positive work for our people, but that is not organized, I feel like we're running in circles. You know, we're spinning our wheels. So we're planning a gathering on April 1st. So I just sent myself another email with the right address on it, the right date. Yeah. April 1st, 2022 at the Oman Alegrio 337 Dargan Place, where we've been having our officers trainings. UNIA-ACL Division 421. This group is known as Friends of the Congo. Democratic Republic of the Congo in Africa. ASCAC, the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations. You mentioned Dr. Jeffries, who is actually the head, if I understand correctly, he's the head of WADU, the World African Diaspora Union. This group here is COSA. I forgot exactly what it stands for, but they are a group that works with Haiti. So the words are in like Haitian Creole, and I can't always remember what it stands for, but it's COSA and their Haitian organization. And then All African People's Revolutionary Party, AAPRP, founded by Kwame Ture or Stokely Carmichael. But we have to form that table. We have to form a legitimate national leadership, whether it's a council or we elect some type of executive. We have to redefine what leadership is for our people, not only for today, but for the future as well. And we have to do it such that it's so successful and so impactful that we never get in a situation like we're in now, where everybody's just scattered and disorganized. So this is kind of what the questions we're leading up to is, we are working with these groups to make a Atlanta Pan-African Coalition. We've been working on this since, before 2018, but since COVID, we haven't been able to have any in-person meetings. This is our first, large gathering where we'll, be able to discuss some plans and intentions and, hopefully set a standard and example for the other regions in the nation.
And with your saying that, back in the day, they had the Black Congress, and the Black Congress in Los Angeles did exactly the same thing. Pulled together all the different Black organizations in LA, and they met once a month or however often it was. And you're calling it a coalition, they called it a Black Congress. Same difference. Can we do that?
We're gonna do the best that we can. This is my first time doing something like this, but we're coming in with the spirit of Garvey and the teachings of Garvey, and that's what we will bring. But like you said, everyone has to, and I guess that is the value of having so many different leaders, is we can be experts in different areas. So we're going to bring our Garveyism, our organization, ASCAC, study of African civilization, so historical information. Congo, they give us a report as to what's actually going on. And anybody familiar with the geography of Africa, the Congo is like the heart of the continent. So, they let us know what's going on, and on the ground. World African Diaspora Union, it's kind of similar to the UNIA, honestly, working to bring us all together, but networking. COSA, so that's eyes on the ground in Haiti. There's been a lot of, I don't know if revolution or just, there's a lot going on in Haiti. I don't know what's the conflict, I guess, going on in Haiti internally. A lot since the president was assassinated a couple years back. So we'll get a report there, how we can help, how we can assist. And then All African People's Revolutionary Party, another, nationalist ideal organization working for Africans on the continent and in the diaspora. So, we're just continuing to work together, bring the unity together. But at this point, unity is going beyond our own individual organizations. And if you're not, if individuals are not, if we're truly trying to unite, then we have to unite outside of our organizations, you know. And if we're not trying to do that, then I have to question how serious we are about uniting. But I hope to see everyone in Atlanta at this event, especially our officers for the UNIA. We are co-chairs to this gathering, so our input, you know, will be needed in our recommendation. So, any questions or comments on this? Before we go to member share, I was going to read at least some of lesson 2 of the course of African philosophy titled Leadership. So any questions before we move on? Okay. Okay. Should be able to do this fairly quickly. I actually want to ask y'all some questions or give y'all some things to think about as I'm reading. So let's see, is this sharing? Please don't be sharing. Please don't be sharing the wrong thing. Okay. Still got the flyer up. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna give y'all a sneak peek into our officers training. Let you know what our officers are going through to consider themselves certified leaders of the UNIA. Oh, okay, that was better. I probably should have just did that. It's 13 questions, yeah. So as I said, as everyone should be aware, on Tuesdays we have our officers training where we've been going through Course of African Philosophy, Message to the People Course of African Philosophy, authored by Marcus Garvey. Lesson 2 of that text is titled Leadership. And these are the questions that we have pulled from that lesson to give us a level of understanding, to make sure that the individuals that read the lesson have grasped some level of understanding. So first question is, to lead, what must a leader be to their followers? Number 2, why must a leader be concerned with a clean appearance? Number 3, what are some characteristics of leadership according to Marcus Garvey? Number 4, what does Garvey say about your heart and your head? Number 5, why must a leader always have something to say? Number 6, when Garvey says, quote, a leader should always make an effort to be known in his community, what people was he referring to? What type of people was he referring to that we should be known by? Number 7, what type of people does Garvey say that we should not be seen with too often? Number 8, what does Garvey say about speaking to people you know about the UNIA? Number 9, what does Garvey say about dividing the Negro race by colors? Number 10, what is the idea of the UNIA? Number 11, what is an unpardonable sin according to Marcus Garvey? Number 12, how does a Negro man insult his mother, nature, and God? And number 13, what is the policy of the Jew? And with that, I'm gonna jump over to the reading. Okay, I gotta do your screen. Okay, here. All right, 6:40. I'm gonna try to get through this as quickly as I can. Give me 20 minutes. Any questions or anything before I start reading? Okay. Lesson 2, titled Leadership. To lead suggests that you must have followers. For others to follow you, you must be superior to them in the things that they must follow you for. You must have You must have superior ability in the particular. You must always be ahead by way of knowledge of all those you lead. The moment you fall down from the position of superior ability, you will automatically fail to lead, and you will have to follow others. Therefore, you must be ever vigilant in keeping ahead of those you lead by getting the latest and most correct information for which they are searching, because for it they are following you. People only respect leaders and follow them when there is something superior in them. So, but again, for me, aspect of leadership, when I think of leadership, I think, self-reliance, self-governance, but freedom and independence. And I know that freedom and independence comes with a sense of responsibility. But who are the individuals in our society or culture or community that are, teaching us how to be independent, how to be self-reliant, and not rely on any government unless it's one that we create ourselves. A leader must have personality. He must be clean cut in his appearance so as not to be criticized. Any untidy leader is always a failure. He must be neatly dressed, and his general appearance must be clean and presentable, because people are supposed to follow him in his manner, behavior, and his general conduct. A leader's hair should always be well kept. His teeth should always be in perfect order, for people will criticize him for his unkempt hair and his bad teeth. Your shoes and other garments must also be clean. If you look ragged, people will not trust you. They will critically say, he has no clothing, his shoes are very poor, and it is logical that whatever money he gets hold of, he will use it on himself rather than for the purpose for which he makes his appeal. Never show your personal poverty to those you lead. They will never trust you. This does not mean that you should never reveal the poverty of the cause you represent, because that cause is your cause and the people's cause, in which both of you are interested. Never tell lies to those you lead. Sooner or later, they will find you out, and then your career will come to an abrupt end. No man ever trusts a person a second time who he disbelieves once and has proof for his disbelief. Mm-hmm. A leader, under all circumstances, must carry himself with dignity. He must not be a snob. He must maintain his pride. A leader cannot well afford to mix himself up with anything that is not dignified or self-respecting. If you have to do something that you know you will be morally and socially ashamed of if someone else knows, never do it. But if you have to do it, see to it that you are careful that no one else knows. Don't carry your weakness on your face or in your eyes. Somebody will detect it and you will be ruined. If you have personal weaknesses, try to conquer them and hide them as long as you can until you have conquered them. Otherwise, you will be ruined. Every man can conquer his vices by bringing his subconscious will to play upon and against such vices. In everything you do, play the gentleman. Never be a hog. It doesn't pay. You lose a friend every time you play the hog. Keep smiling with the world even though your mother is dead. Smile with the world and the world will smile back at you. Be vexed with the world and the world will be vexed with you. Nobody is obligated to you to make you happy, so don't carry your sorrow to the world and on your sleeve. Keep them to yourself and get out of them the best way you can. Keep them to yourself and get out of them the best way you can. Leaders are not children. They must not therefore act as children. Leaders must be self-possessed, confident, feeling self-reliant. When your followers see that self-confidence, they will believe in you and follow you. Always speak out right from your head and from your heart. If your heart is not in it, it is a lie. If your head is not in it, it is pure sentiment. Your heart and your head must work together. People observing you will always tell you are sincere. That is, when you speak from your heart and your head. They can always tell when you are fooling them by looking into your eyes, and you cannot stand their gaze. At that time, indeed, you are lying. When your heart and your head is in it, your whole body expresses the truth, and you can hold any man's stare. A leader must not be extravagant. He must not be flashy in the sense of being over sporty. People will not think you serious. Always make your followers believe you are serious. You can be serious without being sour. Always think before you speak or act. Don't write or speak just to hear yourself. Speak or write only when you have something to say, and never touch anything by way of leadership that you do not know about, because somebody who knows about it will have a joke at your expense. A leader must always have something to say. Otherwise, he forfeits his leadership, and someone else who has something to say will supplant it. A leader should always make an effort to be known in his community. He must acquaint himself with everything that is happening. He must know the governor of the state or country, the secretary of his state, or his colonial secretary. He must know the mayor of his city and all members of the legislature. He must know the bishops of his city, the administrative heads of all government departments, all the preachers and doctors and lawyers and prominent businessmen. Don't be seen with communists too often if you know them. Never take part in meetings unless you are to make a speech against their principles, and always see that it is known by the public that that is your only reason for going among them. Never let them call you comrade for others to hear, because you will be branded a communist and your leadership will be destroyed. You must seek to know all the people you want in your organization. You want to be in your organization. Visit them in their homes, their workplaces, and anywhere you can meet them, and always extend to them a glad hand. Always be diplomatic in your approach. If a Negro is in the company with a white man, never talk to him about the UNIA. If he is in company with someone you think is not in sympathy with the UNIA, don't talk to him about the UNIA. Wait until he is alone. Never say anything to one person who may be in sympathy with the UNIA in the presence of 2 or 3 people, unless you know that the others are also sympathetic, because when you are gone, the others may try to undo the good relationship. But when you meet Negro strangers, you may talk to all of them about the aims of the UNIA and try to win them over. Never divide or create confusion between the different colors in the Negro race. Always try to prove that the standard Negro is the African, and that all Negroes should be proud of their Black blood without insulting any color within the race. This is very, very important. The idea of the UNIA is to unite into one race all the shades of color and build up a standard race. You should discourage intermarriage between white and blacks and other races. You should tell the people that it is an honor to be Black and that nothing is wrong with the Black skin but bad conditions. Tell them that a well-kept Black woman or Black man is as good as a well-kept white man or woman. Never allow your followers to have their children play with white dolls, because they will grow up to like white children and they will have them. Discourage the Negroes from having pictures in their homes, because discourage Negroes from having white pictures in their homes, because those pictures will inspire them to become white in their ideas. Inspire them to have pictures of Negroes who have achieved greatness in their homes. Tell Negro parents that they must teach their children Negro history, Negro pride, and self-respect in their homes to counteract the elementary and high school education they get that holds up the superiority of the white race. Let the people know that God is not white, nor is he Black, but God is a spirit and universal intelligence of which each and every one is a part. All of us are a part of that intelligence. No man can have the full intelligence of God, only partial intelligence. Therefore, no man can be God, neither the white man nor the Black man is God. They are particles of God. Let the people know that in them and in themselves only is the power to rise. Let them know that God does not go out of his way to give people positions or jobs, or just to give them good conditions such as they desire. They must do that for themselves out of the fullness of nature that God has created for everybody. God does not build cities, towns, nations, homes, or factories. Men and women build them, and all those who want them must work for themselves and pray to God to give them strength to do it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there. I'm not gonna go into special notes on racial. Let me see how long it is. I'll read it. Special notes on intermarriage and race purity. For a rich Negro to marry a poor white is an unpardonable crime, and sin, because it simply means the transference of wealth of the race to another and the ultimate loss of that wealth to the race. It is logically evident that if the Negro is rich, he gained all or most of his wealth from his race. Therefore, to ignore the opposite sex of his race and intermarry with another race is to commit a crime or sin for which he should never be pardoned by his race. Teach the people to abhor such Negroes. Have nothing to do with them so long as they continue in that relationship. This must be done diplomatically, not to the hearing of the white race. For safety, let the advice take the form of a whisper campaign. Don't say it from the platform. Whisper it right through the neighborhood and never stop until the burden of your campaign is felt by the individuals, so as to teach them a good lesson that others may not do the same thing with impunity. For a Negro man to marry someone who does not look like his mother or is not a member of his race is to insult his mother, nature, and God who made his father. The best tribute a race can pay to nature and God is to preserve its species. When it does otherwise, it is in rebellion. Don't be in rebellion against God, nature, or your parents that you know of. They came before you and should have known better. Insist on a campaign of race purity, that is, doing everything moral and social within the race. Close ranks against all other races. It is natural that it is a disgrace. It is natural that it is a disgrace to mix your race with other races. To split up the race is unwholesome and does not tend to morally dignify the race. It will be a beautiful thing when we have a standard Negro race. In preaching race purity, be careful because it is a delicate subject. Most of the people are ignorant of this idealism. You must never put color within the race against color. You must never insult any color within your race. Whatever has happened in the past was without our consent and truly because slavery and wicked damnation of the white man imposed upon us moral behavior that we could not restrain. Now that we know better, it is for us to adjust these things within our own race. Teach the people to respect all shades of their race and never to have prejudice against anyone because he is black, brown, yellow, or any shade that whites claim is not white. Never allow any other race to preside over your affairs. If they come as visitors, they must conduct themselves as visitors. They must never have executive control over you and your affairs because they will always say and do things to suit themselves and that are against your interests, even though they profess the greatest amount of friendship. If they swear on the Bible, don't believe them. If they swear in God, don't believe them. Accept their friendship for all it's worth to you and nothing more. Their interest as a race can never be yours, whether they be Europeans, Asiatics, Jews, or whatever. Never trust a Jew. Don't let him know that. He is playing the odds against you all the time. He plays with loaded dice. His cards are marked. You can never win against him. Make this secret whispering propaganda in every community. When you go into a Negro home, whisper all the time that the Jew is bad. Flatter him as he flatters you and robs you. Never give him a square deal because he is never going to give you one. Tell him how much you love his people and how kind and nice his people are. Get all you can from him and give him nothing back except good words and pleasant smiles. This is his policy. The policy of the Jew is, if he sees a Gentile dying on the pathway and a penny covers his eyes as a hope for recovery, he will take it off and let him die. He will not do this to a Jew. You have your answer to this. Treat him similarly. Always try to get something from the Jew because he has always robbed you and your fathers, in that he believes he is the chosen of God, and as such, all other men must pay tribute to him. This is false and fictitious. It is Jewish propaganda. Ignore it and let him pay tribute to you if tribute must be paid. That completes lesson 2, titled Leadership. And that's all I really got for today. Any questions or comments before we go to member share? Okay. Thank you. So we'll open up member share at this time. And brothers, we must be good listeners. So we'll allow our sisters to go first. And I want to bring in our lady president first. So with that, Mama Amina, you have the floor.
Oh, let me allow anyone else who desires to speak to say something, because I disagree with everything you said. You just taught.
Okay. Well, okay. I'll come back to you. Other sister that we have is our First Lady Vice President, Sister Tania. Sister Tania, are you there?
Greetings. Yes, I am. I mean, I don't really have much to share. Besides that, we still looking for other people that would like to help host the meetings. I don't think we have any new people on here, so I know I've pretty much talked to everyone that's on here about getting at least 2 to 3 more people to help. I know so far we have 2 people that's volunteered, Brother Art and then Brother Kwame, I think that's his name, Brother Kwame. I could be saying it wrong. He volunteered to help with the CBPM calls. So that's about it. I just want to make sure that we're able to continue to have the calls, especially with CBPM. And I know that's a different organization, so I'm a hush. I'm pass it.
No problem, Sister Tania. Yes, we still have an obligation as Division 421, the Dr. Julius Nairi CBPM division of the UNIA. So any assistance that the CBPM needs, definitely more than welcome to ask for that assistance during the UNIA meeting. But yeah,
Okay.
still sister.
I think even for you still need you need those people too to help with hosting the meetings.
Yes.
Just and it's not much. I mean, as you see, well, President John was freestyling tonight, but I don't freestyle. Most of my stuff is written down already. So if you do volunteer, I mean, you could go off the dome if you want to, but we do have lessons and stuff written out, so you will only have to repeat what's on there. You wouldn't have to you have to go out your way to draft up a meeting on your own. Then there's always people there to help you. I'm pass it.
Yes, thank you, Sister Tania. I would say it's 2 sides to it. We have as Sister Tania said, a lot of the information has been recorded, documented, and we can just read over roles and responsibilities or history of the Amy Garvey's. We have that. But then there's another aspect, because we're talking about, we have been talking about this aspect of current events, and bringing in current events. So when we talked about Tyree Nichols a couple weeks back, that wasn't anything that we had pre-stored. That was some things that and I think Sister Tania, she helped me a little bit. We pulled some articles, from the internet, read that and kind of, but I really prefer, for us as a collective to create the narrative. I'm of the expectation that, especially when it comes to things like Tyree Nichols, that we as a group, we as the revolutionaries of our time, the teachers of our time, the educators of our time, we are aware of these things. So when we come to these gatherings, it should, we should just be ready to go in on our thoughts as to what's going on with current events. And tonight is another example of that. We didn't plan this. Black leaders in the community. I just sent to Sister Nia a text about it this morning. It's something I've been thinking about, but
I think you do very good going off the dome. I think it's a talent that a lot of people I don't say they can do it, but they just not as good at it as you are. I think you're an excellent speaker, and you do good, President John.
Thank you, Sister Tina, for
Yeah.
sure. But tonight's meeting was, when we think about comparing us to the military, if you go into the military, any branch of the military, and you ask, what is your leadership? People in the military can ramble it off. My lieutenant is this, my, second lieutenant is this, our sergeant of staff is this, all the way up to what's the word? Secretary of Defense, or the chief. I think the president has some type of chief commander or something like that. But my point is, their structure of leadership is defined and agreed upon. And anyone that you go to, you will get a similar response as to, what is your leadership? And then when you come into the Black community, again, the greatest weapon used against us, as Garvey teaches us, is disorganization. So, I'll have my leadership, my neighbor will have their leadership. The kids down the hall, down the street will have their leadership. But there is no collective agreed upon consensus to say that this is the leadership for the Black community. And that's what I would like for us, as a community to start to think about. And if we aren't, if we as Garveyites aren't driving that discussion, as we learn in the lessons on self-initiative, if we don't have our own will, our own ideas, our own goals and direction, then we open the door for somebody else to provide that to us. So we have to encourage our people to, be the first ones to say, this is our leadership. This is what I think our leadership should be. But we should be offering the suggestions before suggestions are brought to us. All right. Thank you, Sister Mia. It was long-winded for me. And I think that is all of the sisters that we have. We didn't have anyone on the conference line. I think I had it open for a little while and then I shut it down, but no one on the conference line. So we'll come back to Mama Mina at the end. Next brother I'll bring in, UNIA member 172, Dr. Shams. Greetings, Dr. Shams.
Race first.
Race first.
Yes, sir. Lately I have put up a chat station on my website so that members can talk throughout the week and not just on Sundays when we meet and forget everything else that we ever spoke of, did, and doing nothing or whatever. We could stay more active, so that's the purpose of me getting a chat put on a chat station, chat area, put on my website. And it's almost on every top title link. When you first go in, you'll see where it says like Africa Issues Chat or a Shea Web Chat, brothers and sisters, to keep it to our people, even though it's in the public domain. That's just like we already doing already. But I just wanted to make sure I use the proper word to keep it in that frame and context, So I want to give out that URL or the internet address, my phone numbers as well. So here it goes. The website is found on the internet at Not Helpful USA Legislations People.bravesites.com. That's Not Helpful USA Legislations People.bravesites.com. And that's the URL to the address to my website on the internet. Now, my phone number, in case anybody wants to reach me to join in, if they having a conversation online or can't get in the chat or whatever, have a problem with the chat area or whatever, or problem with anything else on my website, they can call me. My phone number, my cell phone is 1917 500 1699. That's 1917 500 1699. And my landline, which is almost always off due to scammers trying to blow up my phone, you know, or make sure I don't make no calls. I keep that down, you know, turned off. But I usually anyway, because sometimes it would be on, or if it's an extended conversation, it could go from my mobile to my landline, and the landline I could talk a lot longer than the mobile. Okay, that number is 1718-373-2680. That's 1718-373-2680. And thank you very much. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Let me stop sharing. All right, let's see. We got two or three more individuals. Next brother, bring in UNIA member 451, I think, or 445. I got to double check. Brother Art. Greetings, Brother Art.
Greetings, family. I don't have anything to share at this time. Thank you, anyway.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Art, for being here. And thank you for your contributions through the study group and everything. It's been a tremendous aid for us and yeah, to get us going. The beginning of the year, for everyone that's not aware, from the UNIA standpoint, is the most difficult for us financially, because that's when we usually pay up a large portion of our member dues in January, in the month of January. The parent body wants, the annual assessment at the beginning of the month. So at the beginning of the year. So please, those that have not contributed, please do contribute. Mama Mina, we've talked. President Ross Marvin, we've talked. And I'm preaching to the choir to an extent, but those that are contributed, I just wanted to thank you. So thank you, Brother Art.
Brother John,
Yes, ma'am.
could we possibly open up some type of business through which funds could flow, and we and our finances wouldn't necessarily be would be better, perhaps?
We can, but I mean, establishing a business, funding a
A
business.
bookstore, a cafe, or something that will give us somebody could be employed, and we can also bring some funds into our organization. You know?
Yes, that's something we can look at. We'll need to, talk amongst the executives. However, I must hold true to the teachings that I was given, and our number one or our best fundraiser should be member dues. So I have to, or someone, until we get someone that is solely focused on collecting membership dues, that is where I will keep my focus for us in regards to funds and income. But I understand what you're saying. It's just I can't have a dual focus.
I just know, just in terms of Marcus Garvey, one thing that they did was open and start businesses of some sort. Because finances is, this is a capitalist America that we're in.
Yes.
Just for us to exist, you need some finances.
Yes. Speaking of that, all right, let me see something. This is something that I've been thinking of. I haven't shared it. We talked about it briefly at one time with Brother Omasius. But it's an economic endeavor.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me see. Come on. Well, I thought they had a site where I could do this easier. Let me just share. But been looking at two things. based on, Garvey's teachings, but one, and they're both in relation to transportation. So one is a 18-wheeler. But I was thinking of, Marcus Garvey and his time and Black Star Line specifically, and understanding that, the economic it had a couple purposes. One was to establish trade between our African brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, and we can, purchase those things here in the United States. But part of our objective and aim number 10 is that we have a global economy. So Garvey was building that global economy through the Caribbean and the United States, but basically transporting goods. And that was how they raised a lot of funds, was people were buying in so that the UNIA could purchase ships to transport things. So in modern day, on our level, division level, first thing that came to my mind was an 18-wheel truck, and I know Omasius has mentioned about transportation, but if we have, couldn't we do a crowdfunding to raise, however much is needed, $100,000, $150,000, purchase a truck, and then start to use that truck to transport goods, and then over time, get a second truck, get a third truck, or whatever. Or even if we started out leasing or renting for, $20,000, $30,000. That was one idea, was find out how much these things are. Let's see. Rate waves. So that can't be right. That's like monthly prices. I had some new and used trucks for sale. I'll be brief. Give me a second. So one of the ways Garvey raised money in the past was to put, an image of a cargo ship, and then, however much we were trying to raise. So if we were trying to, if we wanted to purchase an $80,000 transport vehicle, at least we know the number, and we know, we can have something to show to people to help us raise funds. That was one, and that was on a smaller scale. Then on a larger scale was, as Garvey did, buying an actual cargo ship today. And I know it's 2023, we're 100 years past Garvey, and we think, or some people may think that cargo ships ain't really as useful as they used to be. But anybody that works in industry or commerce knows that majority of things being shipped to and from different countries still happens through cargo ships. So if we were bold enough, had vision, we could raise $500,000 for a cargo ship. This is not no cargo ship. This is a cruiser. But it's something we can think about as a executive body. But the whole concept was, as I started to think about it, Garvey didn't just run around asking people for money. He was asking people for money to fulfill the vision. So I feel like that's one thing that we're lacking on in modern time, is that vision for our time. We can't keep borrowing or taking from Garvey in the 1920s, telling people in 2022 or 23 that we're going to do the exact same thing that he did. And me showing these images at this time is like, what? That's exactly what you're saying. But no, it's a modern interpretation. So basically where I'm going is we have to create the vision for people to buy into. But until we do that, we can't expect them to buy into something that, we haven't created. But these are a couple ideas that I had. But at the end of the day, we need to discuss what is the big number. You know, is it $500,000? Is it $1 million? Is it $2 million? Is it $5 million? Is it $10,000? What is the number that we need to do whatever it is that we want to do? And then collectively, we need to be going out and campaigning exactly for that purpose. So, but that's our responsibility as executives. We have to, we have to create those ideas. And also, speaking of executives, we had an executive meeting this past Saturday. We will continue to have executive meetings every Saturday until high executive council. I'm not taking the risk of us being unprepared. This is our opportunity to host the UNIA. They don't, the UNIA doesn't come to the South very often. There aren't a lot of divisions in the South. The sentiment of the South is not the best amongst the UNIA. So our focus has to be making sure that we are gracious hosts to our brothers and sisters in the UNIA. So I know I said a lot, but yeah, executive meetings, executives, we got a lot of work to do, and we have to come up with these plans to present to our people to say, this is why we need funds. Other than that, without a plan, I am sitting in the default position of recruiting, trying to get people to come in, pay their joining fee, their assessment, and their monthly dues. But beyond that, we as an executive body need to create that vision. So, Mamin, does that answer your question? Or...
Yes, sir.
Okay, but yeah, Saturday, and y'all gotta forgive me, but yeah, my focus right now, like I said, is high executive council. So I don't want y'all to think that these things aren't important that we are discussing, but before we know it, April 13th will be here, and we will have people flying into the city and looking for shelter and food and accommodation. So that is where my focus is. And once we get through April 15th, doors are wide open. All ideas are on the table. But also keep in mind Marcus Garvey Day in August. So we got a lot of work to do. I wanted us to, I'm not even gonna talk about early in the year. The first 2 months are gone. We can't go back. We can't, redo it. It is what it is. All we can do now is prepare for March and April and what we want to execute in these months.
President John,
Yes.
I had wanted to go back on like the generating funds for the organization.
Go ahead.
I one thing is to basically sell ourselves with our social medias.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the numbers look like on the UNIA social media. I can't really do what I want to do with CBPM because something happened. I'm about to ask President Ross again, but somebody else is over our social media. And I don't want to waste my time trying to build it like it needs to be built, and for somebody else to get steal it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to gain control back over the CBPM. I don't know how it got like that, but Roz Marvin is no longer the I don't know what you call it, the manager or whatever over our Facebook thing. So anyway, with the UNIA social medias and stuff, I see a lot of people making money for charging advertisement fees. Now, this is something that, nobody has to really do much, leave their home to do. But if the numbers get built up, you can charge anywhere from $30, $40 to $50 just by putting somebody advertisement on your page. So I just wanted to say that.
I understand. That's something we consider, something we could talk about, but I have my concerns with that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I have my concerns as well. But it is an opportunity. But it's just
Well,
how
I meant the CBPM, our page. Whenever you go on there, I don't know who is, it shows President Ross is, and he tried to make me, he tried to kick somebody off of there and it wouldn't remove them, and I need them off of there. So I won't go post nothing on there until he get off of there. So I can start back making the page what it's supposed to be. So, because I don't want to do all that work and then I look up and I can't do nothing else to the page.
okay.
Because we have the numbers on the CBPM. All that needs to be done is activity to post and post and post. And you can schedule your posts. You don't even have to be on there every day.
Yeah.
Schedule them out. And then, we was already going to start charging people to put their stuff in the agenda, but we need, it needs to start back coming out again. And we need to like put more stuff in there and get it out to a bigger audience. But to start charging a small fee to put your advertisement, your businesses, and that right there promotes Black people and, keep the money in the community. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember we had a brother, forgot the brother's name now, but he was a Newapian.
Yep, that's who's over it. And we couldn't kick him out. So I don't know what has happened, but I want him off.
Okay.
So he's not a member of the CBPM.
He is. Yes, he is. But it's one of those situations, like I think he joined like 2018, 2019. But at the time, everything was CBPM. And now, 2-3 years later, his motivations may not be the same as they were.
Yeah, he don't even post nothing about the CBPM. He only posts his own stuff. And
Okay, yeah. See, that's exactly. I remember the brother name now, brother Amun Ma'at.
Yeah, and so now, whenever President Ross tried to remove him, it wouldn't let him. And then whenever we look at who the admins is on there, it's something that's not recognizable. I'm not gonna say that the brother did something. I don't think that that's what happened, but it's somebody else's over that has control over that. And I don't know how or what. And President Ross tried to contact Facebook, but around that time he had a lot going on. So I know he wasn't able to like keep up with it, like what was going on. He had other stuff going on in his life.
Yeah.
But we need to get back control over that page because I know we have a lot of followers on there. And then now Facebook is paying people. They if you get so many views and activities, you can get paid on Facebook. So and other social medias. And that right there would just generate, it's not as much as having a trucking company, but it will pay bills. And
Understand. We just need to, as an executive body, we need to come together and put these things on the table. I understand what you're saying. I see the benefit of bringing in revenue, and I agree. We just have to be careful, and I am extremely cautious of, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, because of the things that we're trying to do and the message that we're putting out there. I'm leery of. Let me make sure I say this correctly. I just don't want to become dependent upon them as a form of income, but having them, being able to bring in extra resources, 100% all for it, thumbs up. But as far as our primary source of income, we need to be in as much
Possible.
as close to 100% control as possible. That's but we are
Yeah, you're right about that.
in need, so beggars can't be choosers, but we still gotta be at the end of the day.
I thought it would be a good way to promote the organization also, like to bring people in, because that's where people are, whether we like it or not. That's where everybody be.
Yes.
Everybody on social media all day, everybody got their face in their phones. And so, I mean, that's the way to get the young people. Well, it ain't really young people, not really like Facebook like that. They more TikTok, Instagram. But that's a way to be seen.
No, I agree 1,000%. When we looked at media a couple weeks back, that was one of the takeaways that I had was when we talk about bridging the gap, we have to look at spaces where what we see as legitimate and then what the youth sees as legitimate. Social media is one of those things. But when you get down to the weeds of it, some of our social media is Facebook, YouTube, I think is still fairly young, but Facebook is more so for the older crowd. LinkedIn is definitely for the older crowd. Instagram, I feel like is becoming, more mature, and I don't know how long that will, the young people will still hold on to that before they say that, oh man, that's an old people thing. But then you got TikTok, Snapchat, and other apps that are still predominantly in the youth realm. But we have to be aware of these overlaps, and social media is one of those places. So that is kind of, it's a good point. That's where we spend a lot of our propaganda, Facebook, YouTube, and we're trying to get Instagram back active. So you are correct, Sister Tamia. We have to go where the people are. All right. Just a few more people on the call. We'll bring in my Jegna, President Ross Marvin. Greetings, President Ross Marvin. How you doing?
Oh, I didn't even know he was on the call.
Yeah,
Hey, President Ross.
President Ross Marvin, you there? Okay, we'll come back. We'll jump over to our Legal Defense Committee Coordinator, Attorney Imhotep. Greetings, Attorney Imhotep.
Greetings, Africans.
Race first, African.
Race first. Yes, briefly, today, February 26, 2012, in Sanford, Florida, teenager Trayvon Martin was murdered.
Yeah.
And we know from that trial, he was murdered by George Zimmerman. And the trial was tried in June of 2013. And Zimmerman was acquitted.
He was acquitted.
Yeah. And from that acquittal, some sisters, I believe, in the Northwest came up with the slogan, Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what happened today in African history.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Race first.
Race first. Thank you for that reminder, Attorney Imhotep. And we also, 5 days ago, February 21st, 1965, the assassination of Malcolm X, but a month of memory. It says Black History Month. And it's unfortunate that these are some of the things that we have to touch on. I remember, this was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And at the time, I was in my 20s, late 20s. You saw it, you knew something wasn't right, but me personally, I didn't necessarily know what to do. I didn't have the understanding of the Garveyism and organization. So, you know, at that time, I'm thinking activism is taking a picture of yourself in a hoodie, you know, and putting that on social media and calling yourself an activist. But you know, unfortunate. And I didn't get involved until 2018, but it was after Mike Brown and everything. You know, you went through Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, you know, Philando Castile is in there somewhere. He might have been after Mike Brown. But, you know, I just had to internalize amongst myself, you know, there has to be more that we as individuals can do, you know, and the awareness is great. Being on the same page from a social media standpoint is great. But, you know, there has to be more to it, you know, and that's where I came into Garveyism organization, understanding politics, but also understanding self-reliance, and doing for self, you know, and coming to the realization, you know, reading Malcolm says, you know, history is subject best qualified, most attractive to reward all research. So when we look at, you know, Trayvon Martin compared to, you know, other things that have happened in the past, you know, Rodney King, but several others, but you just start to understand that the system, again, going back to the system, this is a system. This is a well-built machine, well-oiled, and it's working just the way it was designed to work, you know? So we have to build something to counter what this system is producing and what this system is promoting. And that's where I found Garveyism, and I've been here ever since. So thank you, Attorney Imhotep, for that reminder. Brother Art, I think you had mentioned it earlier in the call as well, but you know, rest in peace, Brother Trayvon Martin, and pray that ancestors have accepted him, you know, peacefully and well and in dignity. Any comments in regards to Attorney Imhotep's Trayvon Martin, our young brother? But yeah, you know, it's for me, that's motivation to work harder. You know, I remember a couple months back we had talked, and we were talking about Peyton Gendron in Buffalo, and saying that, you know, eventually there'll be another brother that passes away, and then Tyree Nichols happens, you know, so it's only a matter of time. We are in the beginning of the year. I don't want to say any guarantees or anything, but I'm pretty sure by come May, you know, we'll be having these same discussions again, and throughout the summer, some things will be happening. So we have to make sure that we're doing the best that we can from a organization standpoint, from a government standpoint, to be educating, but also creating programs and policies to protect our people. All right. My wife came down. Did you have anything that you wanted to share?
No, thanks, no.
Okay. No,
Thank you for asking.
you're welcome. All right. So that's Attorney Imhotep. Brother President Ross Marvin, did you make it back? You were the last person on the call. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So executive meeting this Saturday. I'll recap the financials for those that missed last week, but just give everybody an update on what our financial reports look like for last 3 months of 2022 and January of this month. And I guess by Saturday I'll have report for February. So financial report, and we got to keep working on our plan for high executive council and what everybody's responsibilities will be. So that's all I have. Anybody have any comments in closing? Mama Mina, did you want to say anything? I know you.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything. Anybody have anything in closing? Okay. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your continued dedication and commitment. This is what it takes. I assume, everybody here already, and if you don't, yeah, y'all already do, but second and fourth Sunday, set a reminder on your smart devices, second and fourth Sunday, 5 p.m. We will continue to hold these meetings. So I will see you all again. When do we meet again? March what? March 12th, you think?
Yeah, brother, President John.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
March 12th.
The call-in number. I tried to call in, but I may have the wrong call-in number.
What time did you call in?
Right around 5. Maybe a little.
So that's my fault. I was late getting home this evening, and I didn't get the Zoom going until about 2 or 3 minutes after, and I actually forgot about the conference line until about 20 after. So that's completely my fault. But it's a one-man army over here. I can't.
Gotcha.
Sometimes I will drop the ball, but I can at least be honest and let you know that I dropped the ball.
Okay, and what is the conference line and the PIN number? There's a couple of conference lines.
No, it should only be one for us. I've been sending the same one for ever since I've been sending them out. 3. Do you want the number or which you need?
Yeah, the number. Which
302.
Okay.
202 1106.
Okay, thank you.
And the PIN number is 707256.
Got you.
And also, Attorney Imhotep, I'm glad you said something because I almost forgot. At the end of so we just wrapped up our officers training. We read lesson 22 this past Tuesday. We'll do a recap this coming Tuesday, and then have the exam on the 4th, and then on the 11th will be a remake. One of the things that I mentioned, at the end of the course on lesson 21, Garvey talks about, he's got a section called How to Teach the UNIA. And he says in that, in order to learn or know the UNIA, you must first read the Constitution and Book of Laws from cover to cover. And I was recommending, or just stating to the members that were on the call, that we all should be promoting Constitution study groups. And I even hinted at the idea of a national Constitution study group to where all divisions can call in and we can study together. When I mentioned that, Secretary General Sister Brenda mentioned you she said she thought you would be a good candidate for that. She said she always appreciated your approach to the Constitution and legal matters, and I told her I would run that by you.
Yeah, that's to be I can consider that. Yeah, once I understand fully what the proposals are. Time is just of consideration, but I'll definitely consider that, and I may have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Later.
No problem. No problem. I just wanted you to know, that your approach is in high regard.
Sounds good. Race first.
Face first. President Ross Marvin, are you there? I had to come over there. Come knock on the door. All right. All right. I'm gonna go over there after the call. Yeah, yeah. And anybody else in closing? All right.
Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
Yes, we didn't mention one great leader, and he had ties with our leader, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Peace and blessing be with them too. Noble Drew Ali, Al-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, leader of all the Moors on the planet.
Thank you, Dr. Shams. And honestly, when I think of leadership at the highest levels of a United States government level, when we talk about the executive, judicial, and legislative, I think of Marcus Garvey, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Noble Drew Ali. But that's just my personal opinion. Not saying that that's gospel or Bible, but that's where I'm. When we were talking about leadership, I want us to start thinking of leadership at the highest level, and promote leadership at the highest level, and encourage that type of leadership. But yes, definitely Noble Drew Ali is up there in regards to leadership in our community.
What about the name you just mentioned, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, see, the thing is, when I had first thought of this, and what about I don't want to go too deep into it. But when I first thought about this, I was gonna put Elijah Muhammad, and then under him would be Minister Farrakhan, Malcolm X. What's my brother with the bald head, black brother?
Farrakhan.
With the Nation of Islam, Khalid Abdul Muhammad. They were all from the school of Elijah Muhammad. So that's why I didn't list them all out individually. But excellent point. You're absolutely right. But we will continue.
Thank you very much, Brother John. Thank you very much. And race first.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Shams. We will continue this discussion. When we get a bigger crowd, I just wanted to get us to start a foundation and to start that thinking process. And again, a heads up, I want us to start thinking about organizations, leadership organizations, or organizations that claim to be leaders in our community, and then contrast that to organizations in our community that promote a national ideal. So NAACP, for example, it's a great organization. It's a leadership organization, but they don't promote anything outside of being a good United States citizen. And there's nothing wrong with being a good U.S. citizen, but if we're not challenging the powers that be, the current power structure, then we're talking about reform instead of revolution. We're talking about trying to fix what's there instead of replacing the system that's there.
Race first.
Race first.
All of what you just said is what my website is ideally designed for. But we forgot one other leader, the leader of the Hebrew Israelites, or some of them anyway, because they have many divisions also. Yahweh ben Yahweh.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I said Yahweh. I think the Hebrew Israelites is a good example of that fractured leadership. You have several. You could put, what's his name, What's the brother name from IUIC? Bishop Nathaniel. He's a modern day leader of Israelites United in Christ. Those are the brothers in the purple and gold that was outside of the Barclays Center when Kyrie and Kanye were having a lot of issues. So Bishop Nathaniel is over IUIC, but within the Hebrew Israelites, there are several different leaders, and those leaders have their own organizations, but they all still claim to be, the body of Hebrew Israelites. But I would argue that they're not organized. Everybody's trying to do their own thing.
We have one more, and that's it.
What's that?
Brother Akhenaten Tutankhamun Bey, the leader, the Grand National Chairman of the Moorish American government, with his book, The Exhuming of a Nation. It's on my website. A lot of organizations are on my website too, but that's the last one I want to mention tonight. Brother Akhenaten Tutankhamun Bey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. I think that's a good list for today. We'll refine this list a little bit and continue to work on it until we can get a comprehensive, clear understanding of these three different fields of media, leadership, and organization. But
wow, Clarence 13X Smith, the leader of the 5% Nation, Gods and Earths. I don't know. There's so many of us. I keep thinking of them. Clarence 13X Smith, yeah, he's a leader of the 5% Nation.
yes, but
Piece of
yes, sir, Dr. Shams. It's just at this time, the leaders need to come together and sit at the same table. That's the call for today, for 2023. Can we get some of these leaders, 2, 3, 4, 5, to sit at the table, to come to some type of agreement, to work together for the benefit of our people, which is what we claim to be doing in the first place. So
they may have representatives if they can't come themselves. They may have representatives who can meet with us. And they did that before. I know the Nation of Islam sent a few to us, and then they disappeared. They went back, and that was it. But we got to keep it going. We can't just let them run away like that. We got to choose some day within a month, or what month we're going to meet, or whatever. We need to set up regularity, and we need to, like you say, work with everybody. Send a brochure or booklet to everybody, explain them what and why, where we're going, what we're doing. Peace and race first.
yes, sir. Absolutely. April 1st, we will continue that work specifically from our perspective here in Atlanta. Coming out of this meeting, everyone can expect some type of report, some type of agreement, and a schedule for future meetings.
Race first. There's one more. Africa Bambaataa,
Okay.
leader of the Zulu Nation.
Yes, sir. All right. I'm gonna add that behind the scenes, but I wanted to keep this on for as we close out, but we can close out at this time, and we'll meet again on the 12th of March.
All right.
If you would, please come off mute and repeat after me. One God,
One God,
One God,
one aim,
one
one
aim,
aim,
one destiny.
one
one
destiny.
destiny.
Africa,
Africa,
for the Africans,
for the
For the
Africans,
Africans,
those at home,
those at home,
those abroad.
those abroad.
Race first, family.
Race first.
Good night.
Yes.
Good night, everybody. Race first.
Yes, go in peace.
All right.